Now let me tell you what the mental realm is on planet Earth. It's called the ionosphere. You have a stratosphere, you have a troposphere, you have a mesosphere, you have a hemisphere, you have the outer layer called outer space, you have the hemisphere. The ionosphere is where mental transmission can take place. That's where radio signals can take place. Sometimes two people thinking about the same song at the same exact time because the landscape is so high, you're picking up radio frequencies that have been modulated. This is called FM. This is a fact. Okay, and you can look it up, frequency modulation, and the higher the altitude, the more susceptible and vulnerable you are to messages being transmitted to you, just like walkie-talkies or radio signals. So the mental plane of planet Earth is the ionosphere. I'll give you another example. Planes cannot travel unless they're on the stratosphere. But if they're about to reach turbulence, then they'll go to the troposphere, because that's the only two places where planes can fly. Okay, so there's different spheres on planet Earth that we can liken to what we like to call chakras. Like the planet Earth technically has chakras, if we will. If we're going to make an analogy between the planet Earth being divided 7 times or even 9, then we can make that analogy. I'm not doing that, just painting some imagery here so we can find where the mental plane is on planet Earth, which is the ionosphere. That's number 4th plane on planet Earth. That's where all the mental projections and transmissions is really going to take place. That's where they descend, ascend, and that's where there's the most ability for human beings to communicate modulated frequencies in order to transmit messages. Okay? Now back to money. If money is the root of evil, I don't know why he is exempt from the very evil, because then that would suggest to me if money is evil, every transaction is wicked. That's what that would suggest to me. If money is the root to all evil, and in fact he contends money is evil, everyone else on planet Earth for spending it.
And in fact, he should be worse because he knows money's evil.
He knows better than to spend his damn money, and he's spending his money. So, and when,
Right,
and
so
even,
hold on. We have to understand that money is being used.
Take a mental note.
We have to understand that money is taken from nature.
Okay,
money is taken from nature. What makes money valuable is natural resources. So that means we have to take the money that we do have and put it back into nature. That means if I have money, what I'm doing with my money is giving it back to the earth. What you're doing with your money is recycling it back to the man.
Take your time. Take your time. So it makes money valuable.
It's a difference because the money that we have access to, we're using it to make sure that we won't never need money. We're making sure that we'll never need money when that system fails. And it will fail. The economy will fail.
Stop.
But you have to understand, if you don't have resources, it don't matter.
We don't want to put you on mute. Stop. So, he just said we're making sure that we don't need money, right? Which means they presently do need money, which means you presently need to act like the wicked, and you presently need to partake in debauchery because money's evil, which means y'all are working.
We have to render the season for the season.
No problem.
It's infested out here.
No problem.
It's infested.
So look, when I use money, I'm not in a state of compromise. When y'all use money, y'all are in a state of compromise. Welcome to my religion.
Yeah, when you use money, when you use money, we watch what you spend your money on. When you use money, you use it for the ignorant. We're taking the money and getting the fuck out the system.
Okay.
You're using the money to live in the system.
Hold on.
It's a difference. It's a difference.
Hold on.
That's like getting freedom papers.
Okay.
They're giving you their money. You're supposed to use it to get your own resources. You're using it to party and chill with celebrities.
Hold on, brother. Here's the question. It's a serious question. So money's not evil when you use it. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that money is evil. I said it's the root of all evil.
No.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
No, you said money was evil. In this conversation, you said money was evil.
Money, guess who owns the bank? The devil itself owns the bank. The devil itself owns the bank.
We've learned from this conversation. So listen, what we're going to do is this. Okay? We know what you said. And if you want to retract the statement, we don't mind. You also said God is nature. And we now know that nature is only that which is all-inclusive or encompassing of that which is within the confines of planet Earth, not outside of Earth. So we know after Earth.
No, it's not. That's not the only definition. That's not the only definition of nature. You only need the one. Find me a
definition of nature that tells you something about outer space. I'll wait.
Okay, look. Go down the definitions and you'll see it. It's the controlling, compelling force of life. That's what it is. Nature is the controlling of the universe. It is the controlling, compelling force of the universe. Now look at this. You'll see it if you want to use the dictionary. Look at it.
I'm looking for it. Where says is that? I'm looking for it. Hold on.
Look, it's a bunch of definitions for nature. Nature that I'm talking about is the controlling, compelling force of the universe. Look it up.
What dictionary reference is there? You told me look down, and it's clearly not here. It's not here, just so people don't.
No, go ahead. Look in the dictionary.
What is the name of the dictionary that you're using, so I can use it as a point of reference?
Okay, well, hold on. Hold it up. I mean, so you gotta put in the word correctly. Put in nature definition in Google.
I did, and I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so you looking at the one that pulls up regularly?
I looked at the first one in the search engine. Yes, I mean, you was reading from something. Read it again. Was you reading, or you was just making the shit up? You was just reading from something. Read it again.
Listen.
Say it the same way. Say it the same way you just said.
If you go to the listen, brother.
Damn, he wants you to listen. Nature funny as hell.
Damn, bro. Go to dictionary.com. Dictionary.com.
Okay, let's go. Let's go to dictionary.com. You know light is solid, right?
Light is solid, liquid, and gas.
Oh, shit. Where are you getting this information from? How is light, liquid, and gas? You know gas...
Are you ready?
Gas creates the light that becomes solid. The transition between the hydrogen...
Okay, are you ready for the definitions in dictionary.com?
Yeah, it's physical. Go ahead. Dictionary.com.
Let's move down. Because you know, I wouldn't say anything that wasn't there.
I got you. Read it for me, brother. I got you. Dictionary.com. Where we at? Where do we go?
You gotta scroll down. It's the white man stuff right here. We gotta scroll down.
Inherent character, basic.
They got. You could look at number 12.
Number 12.
When we talk about nature,
Mine goes to
when we
number
talk
9.
about nature, you can't even understand life without understanding nature. Everything you know about life, even your money, is backed by nature. Nature is everything. The air that you breathe is nature. They couldn't build an airplane without nature, brother. Come on, nature. Science is the study of the natural world. Come on, like you can't go against nature. It's down to Antichrist.
Brother, can you read it off? I'm not finding it. Just read it off. I'll trust you. Just read it off, brother.
Let me see.
Okay, the universe with all its phenomena. Do you see number 5?
I don't have it. I'm typing it in.
Okay, well, your wife is right there. She's pulling up everything else. No disrespect to you, queen.
What did you say?
Can you help?
What did you say?
Can you help me, please?
Number 5.
It's dictionary.com. It's the first website.
I'm on dictionary.com.
I'm looking for it. Come on, brother. You can read it. I don't have a problem. Just read it. That's all I'm asking you to do.
I just read it for you. The universe. It says the universe with all its phenomena.
The universe
is nature.
The universe and all its phenomena is nature.
The sum total of the forces at work throughout the universe. Number 6. Do you see it?
Oh, physical. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm listening.
And
No. The sum total of the forces at work throughout the universe.
Yes.
Do you see number 6?
Yeah,
yes, you're talking about physicality. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, I'm just showing you where it's beyond what you're talking about.
If you're dealing with that which is physical, you're dealing with nature.
He's proving your point.
You know.
No, it's beyond. Nature is beyond the physical, brother. The air you breathing is from nature. Everything that
Okay, let me ask you something.
Look, let me say it like this. I'm gonna say it.
So is air physical? Is air physical or not?
I'll break it down like this. Let me break it down for you. All right.
Go ahead, brother.
You eat vegan, right?
This is correct.
All right. So you eat a plant, right?
This is correct.
To sustain your life.
This is correct.
You could say that plant was physical, right?
It definitely is.
But all physical matter has came from some non-physical matter. All physical matter comes from a non-physical matter. When you have gas,
go ahead.
You have liquid, and then you have solid. We know this when you boil water.
Yes, and all
that
those,
the water boils into a gas, but it's non-physical.
All of that is physical.
Nature
is that which is physical, brother. That which is physical is nature. That's a fact.
No, that's not true. That's not. I just showed you in the dictionary. Anybody want to look it up with me? You want Meranium? Whatever you want to call it? Mariam?
Are you saying that liquid?
Mariam dictionary?
Are you saying liquid and gas is not physical? Are you saying air is not physical? Are you saying force?
Nothing is physical.
Hold on. Are you saying
nothing is physical?
Hold on, brother. Stop. In chemistry, you do know the word force is the ability to do work. You do know what work means in chemistry as well, right? I can give you some examples of work.
And I'm telling you that you are a living, breathing spirit. That you're not even really what you think is solid. What you think is solid is spirit. It's energy.
Okay.
It is spirit. It is nothing is solid, and you know that. You know that nothing is solid, but all is nature.
So hold on, nothing's solid, and
nothing is solid, and you know that and when you look at the basic building block of life is an atom. Inside of an atom, we know it's 99.99999 what? Energy.
Brother, can we stop all of this pseudo stuff? Hold on, brother. Stop.
Okay, no, that's the building block. No, you said you want to be logical about it. Then the atom that your body is built on, the fabric of life. When we look at the fabric of life, we know that it's emptiness. So when you say something solid, quantum physics will tell you clearly that it's not solid.
If we're gonna talk quantum physics,
so when you say that the natural world is everything physical, then you're not talking about chemistry, because chemistry, and if you're saying that gas is not physical, that is physical. Then come on, man, what are we saying here, man?
Gas is physical, so is air.
And
you said, hold on, he said everything is in the spirit, then, right? That's what you said. Everything's in the spirit.
You said that gas is physical.
Okay, we're going to do this again.
Can we look at the word physical, brother? Can we look at the word physical?
I just asked you a question, my brother, and then you're jumping in front of me to ask me a question. You're doing this again. Is everything in the spirit, brother? I don't mind answering your question. Please answer mine as I asked first. Is everything in the spirit?
Everything is spirit.
Now.
That's a fact. You are living
okay, I got you. Stop. Before the cookbook. Stop. Now, is breath physical or not?
Breath is non-physical.
Breath is non-physical. So,
for the definition that you bring it to.
Okay, I don't know. Hey, I can speak for myself. Let's not do that. So, if I got a balloon right now.
Okay, well, look at the definition.
My brother,
stop.
Okay, stop, brother. Stop. You'll do that on your time. Stop. I'm asking some questions here. Now, if I get a balloon and I fill it up with my breath, is it occupying space? Does it have any mass? Does it have any kind of buoyancy? Is there any room being used?
No, that's pressure. That's called pressure. That's
not called pressure.
There's no material inside there. You can't grab that out. You can grab the balloon, but you can't grab the air. Come on, man.
So if I took the air out the room, would you be able to exist?
Absolutely not. Come on, you ask me that.
Because the air is taking up space, therefore it occupies. You know, D equals M over B.
I'm asking you the definition of something physical.
Density. Stop, brother. Density equals mass over volume. You're not going to play games. Density equals mass over volume. And let me explain why I said this in the first place. Because everything's in the spirit. But what this brother don't know, spirit means breath. Okay, respiration, spirit come from the same thing. Inspiration, aspiration, respiration, perspiration, it all comes from the same root word spirit, which means breath, and breath occupies space. That's why in the Bible it says, God blew his breath into man, man became a living soul, and the word that they use is nefesh chayim. Yo.
Just keep talking, they can't hear.
Yeah, so this guy, the problem is, anytime you deal with nature, you're dealing with that which is physical.
I got him on low so the people can hear.
No scientist is ever going to turn around and use words and terms like nature when they have to specifically deal with the cosmos. They're not going to do that because nature is predicated upon physicality. And even when they use the word nature and they talk about cosmos, guess what words they have to use? Force. You know what the problem is? He wants to use the colloquial meaning of force, like if I blow my breath on something, and he says, oh, that's pressure. He'll probably call that force too. Force in chemistry is the ability to do work. What is work? An instance of work is D equals M over V, density equals mass over volume. Okay? And any way you flip it around, volume is equal mass over density. It's any way you flip it around, we're dealing with things that constitute the elements that make up the physical world. That's nature we're dealing with. Anything outside of the context of nature,
Let's keep talking.
anything you deal. So in order for us to, we have to find the anti-nature. We have to find the anti-nature, boy. That's what we need to deal with in order to get this information. Nature is always going to be constituted by the physical realm. That's a fact.
He think you Pharaoh. Tell him that.
Yeah, like, bro, like, you're not going to just use any words you want to use and talk about DNA and information and all this other stuff.
All right, hold on, nature, hold on.
You always...
Let's deal with your God now. Let's deal with the sun. Let's move forward. Explain to us why. Explain to us why. Explain to us why that the sun is your God.
Okay, but I just want to say this. We want to take note that he did not look in the dictionary. He looked for money. He did not look in the dictionary truly for what nature is as I saw it. He told me to look it up.
Oh.
I looked up into his book and showed him where it was the compelling controlling force of the universe.
Yes.
That it wasn't just physical.
And what is the
it
word
was
force?
the force of the universe, and that meant all of the universe. It does all of the universe.
What does force mean, bro? And are you taking the colloquial meaning or scientific meaning of force, which is the ability to do work? And then what does work mean? And you're going to find out it constitutes matter.
Let's move forward.
Yeah, we should move forward. Let's move forward.
All right, so
because the problem is,
listen
with our people, let's say I was dealing with law, right? And I used the word minority. The minority doesn't deal with percentage. Now minority deals with...
He said nature was dealing with the physical.
Can you stop real quick, brother? So let's say, for example, if I was dealing with law. Now we have to have a different nomenclature. Now, if I was looking to spin y'all around using big words, I wouldn't define what I say immediately after I say it. Sometimes we're going to have to use these 4-syllable words, 5-syllable words, despite people's insecurities. Nomenclature is a specific assortment of words that caters to a genre in particular because the colloquial meaning is not
Those are big words. Nobody can understand you. Come on, be simple.
Okay,
let's make it.
When someone with all this knowledge, I don't even know what a big word is.
That a wise person makes something complicated.
Good. I understand.
And only a fool makes something simple and make it complicated.
I got you. Real quick.
To make them understand what you're saying. When you use these words, you make people feel inferior, and that's not cool.
Okay, good.
That's not
so
cool,
feel inferior.
Instead of us
relating to the body as opposed to the mind. Relating to things perceived through the senses as opposed to the mind.
Only black people
You understand what I'm saying? Tangible or concrete.
Only black people
That's
want to
what the
tell you
word
smaller
physical
words and they want to talk longer than the people with the bigger words.
Listen.
Because I use bigger words, I'm able to talk for shorter periods of time. Because the bigger words get me straight to the point.
Right.
The word physical means to.
So he can look up a small word like physical.
Now the word tangible. Do you want to look up the word tangible or concrete?
Not at this present moment, brother.
Let's get to the God, man. Let's get to the Son of God.
I'm going to finish what I was saying.
We can get to the God, but this is
I'll finish what I was saying, and then you can...
Now he's trying to prove that untangible forces are physical.
I don't know what he's talking about at this present moment in time, but I'm going to finich what I'm saying, and then he can finish what he has to say to disprove me.
The metaphysical, maybe he's talking about the metaphysical, but not the physical.
Physical, in terms of metaphysics, the word metaphysics caters specifically to physics because there was a point where they were stuck in science at the point of classical physics, and they said anything that comes after classical physics is going to be called metaphysics, which was still dealing with physical things.
Yo, hold on, nature. We ain't got that much time, man. I want you to deal with your God right quick.
Tell him I'm going to talk for 3 minutes, and he can talk his 10, 12 like he does, and I'll wait. Give me my 3 minutes, G. You can keep using as much minutes as you need. Give me my 3 minutes.
Because this phone going to cut off. Nature, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, I want you to break down your God. Not yet. Let Polight get his little 3 minutes in, man.
You ain't got no charger to put your phone on? You can't put your phone on charger?
got all day.
No.
And plus, I got to bounce him. But I'm going to listen to what you got to say respectfully, brother. Just hold on real quick. Now, here's the problem. Here's the biggest problem. As an example, if we was dealing with law, we have to deal with the nomenclature of law. This means an assortment of words that specifically cater to the interests and needs of that genre of information. There's nothing hard about hearing the meaning, because if you looked at the word nomenclature, you would hear what I just was saying. So it's nothing difficult about learning big words, especially if the person's using the 4 or 5 syllable words you complain about, also expressing what they mean and represent. But I will not belittle my people to the point where I'm going to talk Google Gaga shit to them, where their words are GPS to our reality. We need to use the right words to speak in the best terms, because sometimes some words just don't cater there. So what we find is scientific theory, which is a culmination of facts that we use to arrive definitively at a conclusion, whereby theory is predicated upon guessing. It's 2 different things. So sometimes I talk about scientific theory, people think I'm talking about theory. And in law, and I use the word minority, it can render one a homo commendatus. This is an adult that thinks in an adolescent state of mind. But if I use the dictionary colloquial meaning of minority, is when we're talking about... Okay, brother, thank you. So the problem is, when we're talking about science, one instance in law, we see the colloquial meaning of minority meaning percentage, but then when we deal with law, we see that minority caters to the idea that is an adult thinking in an adolescent state of mind. When we deal with science, and we're talking about scientific phraseologies, understand that even when you look it up in the dictionary, if we're talking about nature, and then they start talking about the universe, and then they start using words like force, now we have to be able to say, you know what, what's my import? They're not talking about force based on the colloquial meaning. They're talking about force based on chemistry or based on some realm of physics. And force in physics or chemistry is the ability to do work. And then work takes on another connotation because it takes on another meaning outside of its colloquial or its most common context that most people speak in. So when having these conversations, I'm saying this to the people out there, it's very important that the person that you're building with understands the nomenclature of that which they profess to have knowledge about. Because if you're going to speak about physics, which you eventually have to get into if you're going to talk about nature and then persist to transcend the depths of nature, the least you can do is take the time out to be educated in physics so you can speak in the nomenclature of it or understand it for the same. That's all I want to say. It's not a big word issue. It's about understanding the verbiage of the genre of information that you're discussing instead of staying locked in and complaining about words. Now, the brother could talk about the God thing. I'll close out on whatever my rebuttal may be. I might agree with him. I may not agree with him.
All right, let him go in. Let him go in. Go ahead, Nature. You got the floor, brother.
I love Brother Polight, yo. You be killing with the words, boy. Boy, I tell you, boy. I love his vocabulary, man. He's a wizard. This man is a wizard, man. Gotta give it up to him, man. I appreciate your mind, and it's an honor for me to bounce my mind off of yours, yo. You heard?
Now you see why Pharaoh backed out of the debate, right?
So listen. So when it comes to the sun being our God, the sun is the source of all life. That's what we are, what we're living and breathing. The sun makes our bones. We know this because of the cholesterol on our skin that converts into an unactive form of vitamin D that is now been digested by our liver and kidneys and turns into an active form of vitamin D, which actually strengthens our bones. When we talk about the human anatomy, we have to realize that the human anatomy, we have to look at the structure of the human anatomy. So we have to look at the bones. So we have to realize that we're crystals, we're merkabas, we have EMS fields. We're vibrating to the frequency of being solid, meaning that we are actually not even solid. We're vibrations of what appears to be solid. And what we think is solid is not truly solid, and quantum physics shows us that. But when we look at the food that we intake it to store energy from the sun through the plant, or as people eat meat, they eat the third party because the meat eats the plant, but the plant gets its light from the sun. The sun actually is absorbed by the plant through photosynthesis and gives it the nutrients from the ground. Also, the ground and the minerals of the earth, the metals and the minerals of the earth, gives it the nutrients that it needs, which is all converted to give you the sun in a converted form. So we are the sun, and the earth is the sun, and the earth and all of the planets are different, what we call spirits. This is what we believe in our culture and our culture. All of the planets in our solar system are spirits of the sun. Okay? And so the sun is the source of what we are, and it is what we are, because the sun became the earth, the sun became Mars, the sun became all of the planes of existence. We have came here consciously, through consciousness. This is how we got here. The first memory that you ever had as a child is you just popped up into this realm. You just got here. You just woke up and started responding to the stimuli. So the world is holographic, and it's being projected through our eyeballs. And with, you understand, what you see is eyeballs. They're projections. They're projections. And we just logged in at the first memory that we ever had. When we logged in at this first memory that we had, we therefore started responding to the stimuli of our hologram. And no one ever asked the questions, yo, where was I before this time when we logged in? We go to sleep every night, we go into the darkness, and our mind, just like it does in this realm, lights up our dreams of existence. So what we have to realize is the source, the light, and I hate to bring the Bible up, but we wrote this shit and they bastardized it. But in John 1 in the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word, which is the thought. In the beginning was the thought, and the thought was with God, and the thought was God. The same in the beginning with God, all things were made through it, and without it nothing was made that was made. So we are thought. That's what we are. We're in the thought plane. And we are God because we are the thought that we think. So with that being understood, the source of all our mind is the light and is the source of our well-being, and that's what sustains our life. This is why our gods in African culture was nature, was the sun, was the moon, was the earth, because the earth is another form of the sun. It's all converted energy. Energy is only, this is what we say in our culture. God is energy. Life is sex. Life meaning sacred exchange of energy. Life is a constant exchange from one hydrogen atom to lithium atom to carbon. It's all converted one energy to another form of energy, and it all is coming from a source, and that source is the sun. And that's why we look at our higher self as the sun, and we are the descended version of the sun here on the earth. The earth is actually the sun. Fact. It's a form of the sun. It's not actually the sun. It's like saying that that hydrogen is oxygen. Well, they're two different atoms, but they come from the same source. So the earth is vibrating to a different frequency of what the sun is. So at this frequency, the earth takes shape and form as the sun, as the earth. And then we come from the earth. You understand? We come from the earth, and everything around us is us. We are energy. That's all that we are. We transform this energy. This is to understand our hologram. So when we look up in the sky and we see the source of where he comes from, that is our God. God is our sun. God is what sustains our life. The moon, everything brings balance and order. Our brothers are a form of nature, human nature, because human is God in human form. So we must love one another. If we love our God, we must love one another, because the sun is everything. The breath that I'm breathing to talk to you right now, right? I'm going to break this down and I'm going to give him the mic. Now, the sun makes our bone. Our bone is the structure of our being. The bones of your body is the structure of your being. The sun, converted through, like I told you about the cholesterol, and from the food you eat, from the thyroid gland creates calcitrol. Calcitrol is what creates new bone in your body. So the sun actually is converted between plant life, and the cholesterol on your skin and the melanin in your skin is absorbed to bring you. That's what the melanin is. That's what you are. You are the sun. And so the sun meets the sun. The universe is communicating with the universe. This is why it's imperative that we don't block our skins with deodorants and our aura and our electromagnetic field with deodorants and cover our skin up with clothes and stuff, because the universe is trying to constantly stay in contact with us so that we can realize through our nerves that we are the higher self. We are that. We keep the connection. But when we disconnect by putting rubber on our shoes and all of that stuff, then when we live a life that disconnects us from what we are, then we lose our mind and we start vibrating at a lower frequency of brain waves that make us live in what is called our lower self. We're still God, but God is now a mortal being. God was an immortal being when it was connected to knowing that it was immortal and it was a spirit, but So now man become what we call like a human and think that death is real and we fear death and we live in the lower self. So the bones make, the sun makes your bones, which are crystals, and your bones make your blood. The inside of the blood in your body is made by your bones, the bone marrow, right? Your bone marrow makes your blood. So the bones make the blood.
All right,
and
brother.
then we get oxygen.
You gotta go.
It's the last bit. It's the last bit. Last bit. We finish. The blood makes your bone makes your blood, and your blood makes your breath. Because you can't have oxygen without the hemoglobin in your blood. So we call it the 3 Bs: bone, blood, breath. This is what we is: solid, liquid, and gas at the same time. We understanding the phenomena of nature. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I said God is the sun, because we are the sun, descended here on earth, but we are the earth before we the sun. It converts from the earth, and then we come from the earth. We eat from the earth. We convert the sun from the earth, and now we are the sun. I don't know if he understands this, but this is why we say we are our resources. We are the sun, which is the source of our resources.
All right, thank you, brother.
That's how.
I'm gonna tell you what the problem is with these long cookbooks. The problem is so much misinformation gets disseminated that it would take me longer than he has the patience for me to talk to dissect these.
But I appreciate you talking to me. We should build more. I know we about to say we should build more. We got more to build on.
All right, he didn't cut you off though. Let him go now, Nature.
So the issue with this,
no, go ahead.
The issue is, if we should build again, we have to talk in shorter intervals so we can address the things that's being said, because there's a plethora of things being said that I disagree with, that we don't have the time for right now, unfortunately. Though I can take a mental note of it and I'll keep it in mind. Like he said, the melanin is the sun. It's totally a ridiculous thing to say. And then if I were to ask him if melanin is acidic or not, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have an answer for that, because he'd be worrying about the chess move for if he says it's acidic or not. Because that's going to be the underlying theme to how we know melanin is not the sun. If melanin is acidic or not. We can give him that to look up. Another thing is, he keeps talking about solid, liquid, and gas. Why would he not mention plasma, which is a fourth state of matter that plays an integral role to this world? He keeps saying solid, liquid, gas. So his knowledge is stopping him at solid, liquid, gas. And what I'm telling him about this physical world, I understand what he would like to say had he went further in studying. He wants to say, or he should say, that this world is not so much physical, it is more or less an aggregation of molecules. All right? And therefore, since it's an aggregation of molecules, it may behoove us to say it that way as opposed to saying physical, whereby, unfortunately, physical is still the word, it's not in question. But a step further would be an aggregation of molecules. One, that'd be an easier thing for him to say than to say nothing is here solid. Everything here is not physical. We're on a mental plane. No, say an aggregation of molecules. That's one. Two, positivity and negativity. We don't want to say nothing about negativity. Let's say it's cathartic. That is the best and most appropriate term when we're talking about the energies. Then he says the food is being converted into different forms or renditions of the sun so we can sustain ourselves. Paraphrasing. It's being converted into the food. The sun is being converted into different forms for us to stay alive. This we can call photosynthesis, right? And that's not the sun. That's light being synthesized. Light is being broken down for specific purposes. Like in a plant, it's information being transmitted so the plant can make food. Okay? Light is also being synthesized through the first cousin, that is melanin, to chlorophyll, for purposes for us to also be able to relay messages from one part of our body to the next. But it's not the sun. It's the light, which is very different from when it comes from the sun to when it comes into this atmosphere, that's being synthesized for purposes of us being able to facilitate on this physical plane. Okay? So here we find plasma is left out of states of matter for whatever reason. Here we find the inability to properly address or identify what it is that needs to be said because of a lack of information. And so, to close out, I would look forward to a follow-up conversation about whatever, or even revisit some of these themes. But what
I got to get y'all on my Google Hangout together. That's it.
But what I gotta ask for, there has to be a time limit, because I can't keep doing 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes to 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and then in the internal me talking, I gotta get cut off. And questions have to be answered on both sides. He can't be over here asking me questions because I just asked him a question, because I be thinking he getting the order of questioning wrong. You can't be demurring throughout the course of this whole conversation. Maybe you need to do it once in order to properly address something you gotta say, but not throughout the course of the conversation. Ask me a question because I asked you a question. We ain't gonna do that. And the final statement, let's address this. We never got a reference for where he gets his ideas from. Every time I ask, where you getting this from? The only thing that I can't trust is, we can't trust the white man, but we definitely got to trust him because he's God. According to him, he's woke, he's by the equator, he's living in the jungle, and if he needed anything, if money was to disappear, he'd still be able to survive. That certainly wasn't the case when he was displaced in the other country where he was. The very thing that's the root of all evil, which was the root to his ability to transition from one place to the next. So I don't understand how it's the root of evil, or all evil. Okay, people can do wicked things. Money doesn't do wicked things. We might as well go around here blaming guns for killing people too. We might as well turn around and say that gun just smacked the hell out of somebody, and that $5 bill just tripped somebody. And you know what? All these inanimate objects is going crazy, wilding out on the human race, or it's the human race wilding out. Okay? So we got to really put things into proper context, because when we blame money, we evade the responsibility of being accountable ourselves as people. Okay, so we don't want to misappropriate where the energy is supposed to go. God's energy, stop misappropriating energy. The energy of identification for who does right or wrong is in the people. The power has always been invested in the people, not the dollar, not the gun, not any other inanimate object, but the people. Get out of this. We never spent money stuff. I'm tired of hearing black people say it, and then when you ask them, show me the society where we didn't use money, because I understand what money is, and it's a system of transference. Okay, it's bartering, it's buying, it's selling, it's exchanging. There's always going to be a form of currency. And even when he said we use morality and we exchange that, one thing for the other, then morality would be currency in his pseudo claim. It would have to also be currency.
That's a trade.
But I couldn't reference anything that we get out the history books because automatically it comes from the white man. But when we ask him where you get it from, he doesn't have a place.
He goes to the dictionary.
He doesn't have a place. No, but he can use a dictionary when it's at his leisure. But if I use it, I'm trying to use too much words, or whatever that means. I've never heard a person complain so much about words. Well, black people in general. We have a tendency to complain about words when we're communicating. I don't get it. I don't get it. And the big word thing. You're using big word. No, I'm using the word you're unfamiliar with. That's it. And if I make sure while I'm speaking, I elaborate in detail why that word is being used, which I shouldn't have to do all the time. But you're making people feel insecure. I don't care who feels insecure. The goal is to teach, and teach specifically to what I'm talking about. So you've got to pick up context clues what I'm talking about. But what I also do is make sure I define as I'm going, or I give you enough context clues. You ever learn how to read back in the days? Your parents say, what does that word mean? Read everything before and after that word, and then arrive at a conclusion to see what that word means. What's wrong with black people talking about you using big words? You can pick up most of the stuff I'm saying if you just keep up with conversation. And then you could tighten up on it if you look it up.
They want to keep you in the hood.
They want to keep us in the hood. Only a person looking to deceive you will tell you to keep yourself uneducated. Only a person looking to deceive you will tell you no need to start using any bigger words. And I don't read to use bigger words. The things that I read introduce me to new words. And when I get introduced to new words, I say, man, this word is easier for me to address what's going on than for me to use 20 words to talk to people like babies. I just use this one word. This word get me where I go. That's why I'm able to say 5, 6, 7 different things when I'm building. Because I'm able to use the word that specifically addresses that thing in particular. So, salute to the brother. I'm glad we're not cursing each other out. But I really need my brother to give people more time to speak. Because this ain't
Nature, you still there, brother?
I really need the brother to give me more time to speak in the future. Because I'm not always going to be here like this. And he's telling me I'm bullying him, and he's cutting me off all the time.
Nature, you still there?
So it's all good. But that was love. That was a lot of fun. I miss doing this type of stuff.
He's still there, but
yeah,
hang up.
He ain't there mentally. He's on mental.
Oh.
He ain't here. He on mental plane.
Nate Church, you still there?
You can hear me?
I hear you now.
You can hear me?
I hear you.
He on the mental plane. He ain't here. He on the mental plane.
I would like to build on a better time, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's do that.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's build at a better time. We can do it very soon. I look forward to it, my brother.
Hey, yo, tell Polight that it wasn't no hard feelings in what I was saying. Like, I'm feeling like
I don't feel no problem.
We do need to make sure that we know how to manifest money. I'm not saying that we don't need to know how to manifest money and make money. We do need to learn how to do that.
All right.
In order, how we gonna get out of our situation without money?
All right, Nate,
we gotta go.
Nate, we gotta go.
All right.